Well, it's lucky that I do feel that I have the gift of the gab, because I came here to listen, and what I've heard so far, the two presentations have been fantastic. But I came to listen, and then when I walked in, Robin said, "Could you speak?" So I haven't got anything prepared, and so all I'm going to do is gabble through a number of things that I've been trying to do. But you would think the gift of the gab is something that I learnt, and I'm very clever, and I was the managing director of M&S, and I'm a lord. It's because I actually had an abusive childhood, then I was dyslexic, and I was expelled from school, and I don't know how to survive in a logical, linear, linguistic way, in a orthodox way. So when I'm scared, I tell stories or disrupt something or make a joke or come up, yes. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm scared, and I'm just going to tell you some stories. And also, by the way, I'm Jewish. I'm not religiously Jewish. I was from a Jewish family. If I was religiously Jewish, I wouldn't be here because it's Sabbath. So when I was in this very odd youth, I worked in a street market for 10 years in Pontypridd, Maesteg, Venny, on the gutter, just, in front of a crowd selling stuff. And I didn't feel I fitted in with anything. And in 1967, when I was 25, there was a war in Israel, and I thought, I'll go there. And I just want to tell you something about that, so here I am, 25, disaffected, not, knowing what to do. And I thought, all right, well, they're going to kill 2.5 million Jews. They killed 6 million when I was born in 1942. I'm going there. Now, these kids who are joining ISIS, right, are feeling the same way. And now, as it happens, I went to Israel. If they'd have said, look, you look like a strong kid, here's a Kalashnikov, you've got to stand on that hill. If somebody comes over that hill, that's Jordan, and I don't care if they look like a pregnant woman with children, they're the enemy, they're not going to be wearing a uniform, you've got to shoot them. I would have, right? I would have. And they would have said, oh, that Andrew, he was quite a nice guy, and he shot. So what I'm saying is, don't think that these people are evil. They just, they're disaffected, and they need help. Anyway, so I was in the Six-Day War for a year, and they won. But then I thought, well, maybe we should make peace. And for the past 50 years, I've been trying to make peace, and I'm standing here as a failure, because I haven't. But I'm just going to tell you, so that was 67, right? 77, when I came back from Israel, I joined Marks Spencer's and by the way, I didn't plan my career, it just happened. There was lucky happenstances. The chairman of M&S saw me misbehaving, talking like I'm talking now, quite like me. I was rude to him. He said, you don't know how to behave. I said, yeah, I don't know. I was expelled from school. And he said, they tell me you're a clever retailer. I'm going to teach you how to behave. And he took me as his personal assistant, Marcus Seif. So there I was, unqualified. He just liked me. I was like the court jester. He liked my sort of chic and everything like that. And in 1977, he then said, look, Andrew, you're not going to understand this, but you know that we're a Jewish family. We've been trying to help Israel to grow. We buy 99% of our goods from the UK, and we buy a bit from Israel to help them. He said, I think the President Sadat from Egypt might go and visit Israel. So I want you to go into Egypt, and I want you to buy cotton, potatoes, anything you can, to let him see that we will be buying from them if they make peace. And he said, this is so important. You don't understand this. So important to the world. I'm prepared to risk your life on it. So I started to go into Egypt. I bought all that stuff, and then Sadat visited Israel. I thought, I did that. So then in 1987, when I then became director of Marks & Spencer's, I was responsible for buying. I thought, well, wait a minute, we can't just buy from two. If we bought from Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, and the whole of that Middle East and North Africa, everybody would be doing business, and they make peace. I was wrong. Perez believed that, but as it so happens, so a lot of people in those countries know me, they know I'm Jewish, they know that I think there should be a state of Israel, but they also know that I understand their narrative. So in 1997, now I'm the managing director of M&S, and I am in the World Economic Forum, and how long have I got? Am I all right? Right, okay. So anyway, so I'm invited to a dinner where Netanyahu, when he was the first Prime Minister of Israel, with his wife, and Mubarak, the son of Mubarak, Gamal Mubarak, with his wife, and they're across the table there. And Netanyahu says to Mubarak, what are you doing with the Nile? Somebody said you're doing something with the Nile. And Mubarak said, everybody wants to live in this little delta, and we're going to make the delta wider. And he drew it on the menu. So then Netanyahu said, oh, everybody with our country wants to live on the coast, so I'm going to make sort of islands out from the coast. So I said, can I have that menu? So Netanyahu said, well, I said, it's fantastic. I've still got the menu. Right. So I said, can you sign it? He said, yeah. So I said to Mubarak, could you sign it? So he said, who is he? So he said, oh no, this is Andrew Stone, the managing director of Marks Spencer. They buy £500 million a year from us. So he said, why don't you buy from us? Rudely. So I said, because you've nationalised your cotton industry, you've messed it up and you make crap. So, and then I went home. And I thought, I shouldn't have said that. When I went to my hotel, they had this new technology where you took this thing and slid it across thing, and on your television, a message came. So 11 o'clock, I get back to my hotel in Davos. President Mubarak wants you to join him for breakfast. I thought, oh my God. So I phoned our chairman. I said, I've just insulted the president of Egypt. So he said, look, no, this is great. They've got Egyptian cotton. Their cotton is great. They don't know how to plant it. If you offer them some help, maybe we could sell their cotton. So I go to the next morning to this hotel. Mubarak is there. There's 20 people there. I feel like Aladdin. I'm standing there, He said, you had an argument with my son. I said, I'm really sorry. He said, no, you're right. He said, how are you going to help me? So I said, well, I could bring some Italians, some Germans, some French, some British experts, and we could have a look at your cotton business and see if we could help. He said, do it. I'll pay for it. I want you to come. So I said, look, I'm not very diplomatic. I don't know whether to say this. I want to say something, but I'm scared. Can I say anything? He said, you're under my protection. Say what you like. So I said, the experts in this region are Israelis. Can I bring some Israelis as well? He said, they're going to be protected from me. Yes. So we went there for a week. We showed them that they were doing all the wrong things with their cotton. And what resulted was that an Israeli manufacturer has 7,500 people working in Cairo making our underwear in M&S, and also it was so successful he had 4,000 people in Irbid in Jordan, and therefore this thing started happening. Now, unfortunately, what happened then was Mubarak was corrupt. There were all sorts of things going on in that thing, and they messed it up and it didn't work. Anyway, so I'll come back to that in a minute. So I'm going in sevens, you see, right? 2007. Gordon Brown is the Prime Minister. He makes a trip to Israel, Jordan, and the West Bank. While we're walking around the West Bank, he said, look, you did all this for Israel and Egypt. What about the West Bank? What about the Palestinians? Can you do anything with that? So I said, well, I'm retired now from M&S. I left M&S in 1998. He said, yeah, but you know how to do it. So anyway, I wrote to Marks Spencer, Sainsbury, Tesco, and Waitrose, and I said, if we could get some good stuff from Palestine, would you buy it? They said, look, if you were an NGO, we'd say no, because you're going to try and sell us sort of olive wood donkeys from Bethlehem. But he said, because you know what we want, if you get it to that standard, then yes, Andrew, we'll overpay and we'll buy what we don't want because we know what you're trying to do. So I ended up doing some business there. We started this thing called Moon Valley, and we were selling tomatoes, peppers, and everything. And then Yotam Ottolenghi, who is Israeli, but his partner in business is Palestinian. He's got that fantastic restaurant, at Ottolenghi. He said, Andrew, no, don't just sell raw vegetables. Why don't you do frike, maftul, za'atar, and everything? Yeah, and we started a business. Now, again, that failed because the problem is that if you have a group of people who are feeling victims and they're living in that state, then they started to use the wrong pesticides. If somebody offered them cash just before they were going to deliver my thing, and that messed up. Anyway, finally, but this is going to be good. 2017, this year. Right, okay, so again in Egypt, you may or may not like him. President Sisi, when he was a general, knew when he defeated Morsi that he was going to have a very, very rough ride, and a lot of people, some of the people here might think human rights, blah, blah, blah. He said, when he's a general, look, we're going to try and change this country. We're going to have a new constitution. We're going to have a new parliament. We're going to have a new general, and we're going to have a new economics. And I want you to keep visiting me. I know that it's going to be difficult. And no democracy has ever come out of anarchy. It comes out of a strong leader. And I'm going to have to be strong. You're not going to like it, but I'm trying to work that way. And I want you to see that I'm working in the right direction. So I've been there 6 times in the last 2 years. The first time I went with 12 people, and I was the only Jewish person, and I went to Israel and I said, is there anything you want from President Sisi? And there was something that they did want, which was, I can't tell you, which was secret. Anyway, so when we were with Sisi, there was this, we were there for 2 hours, and just as we left, I went alongside him, and I said, I've just come back from Israel. He said, what? So I said, yeah, and we know you're going to do this. And he said, don't speak in front of the cameras, and he took me aside, and I had a conversation with him, and he said, right, okay, I've got a message for you to give to Netanyahu, right? So, because he can't trust anybody else, but he said, like, right. So then, 2 weeks later, David Cameron was going to Israel to speak in the Knesset, and I went with him, and there was Netanyahu. I knew that was going to happen, so I said, I'm just coming back from Sisi, and I wanted to come away from the camera. Anyway, and I swapped some information between the two of them, so then Sisi then knew who I was and trusted me, and he has asked me to go to Egypt to help them with the cotton again. But this time, I spoke to Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum, who has written a book called The Fourth Industrial Revolution, saying there's another industrial revolution going on and it's digital and people don't realize this is an industrial revolution. I told him about this. He said, Andrew, this is really important. Germany, after the war, had no technology, and they therefore had the newest technology because they had no technology, and all of a sudden they became Germany, and we were still using the spinning jenny, and they were in the new technology. He said, if you were able to do the same thing at a much higher level and take Israeli technology and move it into Egypt with 90 million people, then this would be the first Arab country that's doing it in terms of irrigation, farming, spinning, weaving in the cotton industry, because at the moment, Egypt is importing $1 billion a year of cotton, because they don't know how to grow their own cotton. And their cotton is the best in the world because it's got a long staple and it feels silky, but it's more absorbent. And therefore, that will transform it. So that is something we're going to do. Secondly, and you're going to like, so the third one's brilliant. Secondly, their universities are not very good in Egypt, and we've got the greatest universities in the world, and therefore we're linking some of our universities, Queen Mary, SOAS, Manchester University, with some new universities in Egypt. Thirdly, I went to see a hospital, a children's hospital, which is taking in more patients than all of our hospitals in this country. Is one hospital in Cairo, but they're nursing. They think nurses are like waitresses there. They don't, they don't give them qualifications. And so Evelina Hospital here, I know the chairman there, Lord Fink, and we're going to link with them to be able to train their nurses. But then finally, and this is the good one, right, Sadat, again, wanted to make Mount Sinai, which is holy for Jews, Moses, and Muslims, Musa, and St. Catherine's Monastery. And he thought, hey, this could be a peace park right in the middle of Sinai, where we can all come together and declare, the golden rule. Now, he never did that, but his widow, Mrs. Sadat, wants that to happen. So I mentioned that to Sisi, and I said, look, I don't want you to do anything unless, and this is a great organization to do it, unless I can get the people of the Abrahamic religions and other religions to come together and stop talking about their differences and say there are 6 or 7 or 8 principles which unify them. So the golden rule and various things like that, one God, blah, blah, blah. So, and if we then did that, and we got the Grand Mufti of Al-Azhar, the Coptic Pope, the Chief Rabbi, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and a number, 10 leaders of religion to go on Mount Sinai and say, look, this is what we all believe. You can't do this in our name. We love each other. Then in that case, this place could become a peace park. Now, then you get architects all over the world, because I don't want it to look like Las Vegas is in the middle of the desert, but to look like something with a conference center, university, hospitals, spas or whatever, hotels. And we had a competition with Sisi being one judge and maybe the Prince of Wales, Charles being the other, because he likes architecture and is keeper of the faith. Then this place becomes a universal peace thing, and that's another thing we're going to do, and I'm going to try and involve you. Can I have 1 more minute for one more thing? Just to, this one is absolutely lovely. I was there in August in Israel, not Egypt. So I just come back from Egypt last week, and unfortunately, I arrived when they did that horrible thing in Sinai, and that's why Sinai was so important, and that's what we discussed. But I was in Israel 3 weeks before that, and again, somebody said, I want you to look at this project. It's really small, but it's fantastic. It's right down in Jordan near Aqaba. So anyway, I flew down to Eilat, got a jeep across, and this is what happened. When Sharon took the settlers, very religious settlers out of Gaza, they pulled everybody out of Gaza. So religious settlers, very, very religious. I don't like what they do, settling, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, brings them back into Israel, gives them a piece of land near Eilat, and they work the land. Now, religious Jews cannot grow anything on the 7th year. It's a sabbatical year. You have to let the land rest. So usually they go and buy their food from somewhere else, and it's very expensive. It's somebody who's not Jewish, because it has to be kosher. So they charge a fortune, and they didn't have any money. across the border in Jordan were some Bedouin women who were working their land. They said, well, if you show us how to do it, send us some rabbis to do this kosher food, we'll do it and we'll have to charge you some money. So they said, okay. So then, but then the Bedouin women's husbands, because they're polygamous, said, you have to be home for 5 o'clock. If you're making this food for these Jews, you have to be home at 5 o'clock. You've got to cook the dinner and look after the kids. So some Syrian refugees who are in UNRWA camps in southern Jordan said, can we work the night shift? We'll do the night shift and you can pay us. So they said, yeah. So then the king of Jordan heard about this and said, wait a minute, I've got 100 acres of land down there and there's a shortage of almonds in California. Maybe we could have Jordanians, Syrian refugees, Bedouin, working the almond farm. So then somebody told me, because that, I'm interested in these things, so I said, wait a minute, my grandmother, I don't know about almonds, if you have dried almonds, my grandmother used to soak almonds overnight, in water, because they're seeds, they're not nuts, and they absorb the water, right? Then you sprinkle salt on them, they're delicious. So I said, we could have, instead of doing dumb almonds, we could have these package, which is almonds from Jordan, salt from the Dead Sea, water from the River Jordan, put it on the table, whoa. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, thank you very much.